I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Tonight's bills total $752,346.20.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilman Cook,
Yeah.
Councilman Venz,
Yes.
Councilman Tenen,
Yes.
Councilman Dennis,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilman Collier.
Yes.
The motion passes. On this evening's remarks of visitors. Any remarks by visitors will be restricted to 5 minutes, which is our normal term. Personal attacks on any of my staff members or employees will not be tolerated, and any use of profane language will result in the termination of your opportunity to speak. Once again, you will have 5 minutes to present your information. And our first one tonight is Paul Sita for the police department. Mr. Sita apparently is not here. Mr. Nathan Fisher.
Hello.
Please state your name and address, please.
All right, Nathan Fisher at 803 Edgewood Lane, Festus, Missouri.
Okay,
All right, and I'm here just to talk about the quality of the water that I've been receiving, and that I have to pay for. That this is from the city a little bit, I would not say acceptable. I don't know what we have planned for this, but everybody on Edgewood are having to deal with things like this. This is out of my filter system. I have like a 4-stage filter system. And I just emptied that out. That's from like 3 weeks worth of filtering, and that's straight out of my tap water if I would turn on the sink. And so everything, all my appliances, everything's just kind of turned into a mess from the stuff that you guys have been providing me. I've been at Edgewood for like 10 years, and I'd say in the past 2 or 3 years, this has become an issue. And that's all I really have to say.
all righty, sir. Well, we thank you for coming and speaking this evening. Believe me, we are trying to get to the bottom of this,
Okay.
and the city administrator can say what we're doing or what we're going to do, but we have been flushing the fire hydrants. And there has been, we've had to, there's been issues at the water authority, and we've had to supplement with our well water. And when the two waters meet together, it causes some problems.
I mean, would you guys like to have this come out of your faucets and have to have your kids and anybody bathe in something like this and drink this? And
No,
so that's, I don't like to have that either. And I've had this for multiple years, and the water department just tells me the same answer anytime I call, that it's from the well. What? And that they say it's safe, but no one would drink. I doubt you would.
I wouldn't drink
Yeah,
it.
and I'm Ariel.
Ma'am.
It's my turn. So, yeah, just frustrating. And I just keep getting told the same story and nothing's been done about it. And
We are in the process of trying to fix this problem.
okay. Thank
So,
you, Sam.
You're welcome. Mr. Chris Hagan, please.
Chris Hagan, I live outside the city limits at 10236 Huntington Ridge here in Festus. The reason I'm here is also water, but it's a different kind of a water. I own the building at 101 East Main Street, the old Commerce Bank building. On the Adams Street side of the building, there's a giant AT&T manhole. The manhole covers about this big, but probably 4 of us would fit down into that hole. When we get as much water as we had a couple of weeks ago, that fills up and somehow manages to get into the building. Also, whenever the water comes down Adams Street towards Main Street, we have probably about a 4-foot by 30-foot part of the sidewalk that is asphalt pavers. And I think everybody here knows the asphalt pavers are about 3 or 4 inches deep, thick. And then after that, we get like 3, maybe 4 feet of sand. So again, if that gets completely saturated, that works its way into the front of the building. So we bought the building in 2005. This has occurred since 2005. I happen to have a renter in there now who works ridiculous hours. She probably works easily 60 hours a week. And then whenever the water comes in, things get really bad on my end. I don't think that I'm capable of fixing either one of those issues. I'm more than happy to get down into AT&T's manhole with some flex steel and spray it in there, but I don't think I should do that without AT&T or the city. So everybody's got my phone number, so anybody can feel free to contact me and I can meet them and we can look at it and discuss ideas. But like I say, this is going on since 2005. This is the first time I did bring this to the city council. I also own another building where I had water issues, and I know I brought that up several times. So that's it.
Yes.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, Chris. Mackenzie Beckham.
Hello, I am Mackenzie. I don't live in Festus. I can give you my St. John address if you'd like that. So I'm here today to talk about Compass Health. So we just recently merged with Comtree. Comtree was in Jefferson County for 50 years. We are in the process of purchasing the Shop and Save building over in Festus. We will close. We were supposed to close August 24th. That has been pushed back till September. But I'm here to invite everybody to our Comtree Fall Festival that we are having at the Shop and Save building. I brought flyers for everyone. I can pass these out. On November 9th from 3 to 6, we are inviting everyone to come to the building and see it before we go in and remodel it. We will be putting dental services in there. We will be putting primary care, behavioral health, psychiatry. We will be moving our PSR that's over by the fire department now, and that will be a 24-hour behavioral health crisis center that will have up to 8 beds for 24-hour care. The Fall Festival is going to be fun. We're going to have food, games, face painting. It's going to be a fun family event, so I can leave these with everyone here.
Yes.
And then also I brought some brochures about Compass and what it's going to do. And then I also brought another fun flyer that is for everybody here as well. And this is for the International Overdose Awareness Week that's coming up 8/28 through 9/1. There is different events every day of the week, and you can I'll leave these, and you guys, anyone's interested, you can take these as well.
All righty.
Where would you like me to leave these at? I'll put them on.
Yes, put them right there on that table. All righty. Thank you very much. I haven't seen anybody come in yet, so I'm assuming that Mr. Sita has not shown up. So therefore, do we have any bids?
No, sir.
Ordinances and resolutions. Tonight, we have bill number 4732 on the agenda. Would the clerk please read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 4732, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, authorizing the issuance of a special tax bill under section 110 of the 1998 Property Maintenance Code adopted by the City of Festus, Missouri, certifying said special tax bill to the Recorder of Deeds of the County of Jefferson. Excuse me a minute. As a lien against said property and establishing an effective date.
Bill 4732 is now open for discussion. Could I have the staff report, please?
Go ahead, Mark, if you'd like to.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is one of the properties. We did another one last month. They were both actually secured on the same day. It was an empty abandoned property that we were having vagrancy and miscellaneous stuff happening in that property. It was sealed up, and this is the bid to, or the price to put a lien against it when it was boarded.
Okay, is there any discussion? If there's no further discussion, is there any council member that wants this bill carried over to the next meeting? Hearing none, do I have a motion to suspend the rules and read Bill 4732 for a second time in title only?
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Madam Clerk, would you please read Bill 4732 for the second time?
Bill number 4732, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, authorizing the issuance of a special tax bill under section 110 of the 1998 Property Maintenance Code adopted by the City of Festus, Missouri, certifying said special tax bill to the Recorder of Deeds of the County of Jefferson as a lien against said property and establishing an effective date. Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilman Collier,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilman Dennis,
Yes.
Councilman Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Tenen,
Yes.
Councilman Vins.
Yes.
Bill 4732 has passed.
Thank you all.
We have bill number 4733 on the agenda. Would the clerk please read this bill for the first time?
Bill number 4733, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, approving an intergovernmental agreement with Jefferson County, Missouri, the clerk of Jefferson County, and the collector of Jefferson County, and establishing an effective date.
Bill 4733 is now open for discussion. Could I have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was notified about this time last year that the county collector's office, which has agreements with all of the cities or most of the cities in Jefferson County to collect their real estate taxes and special tax bills, that their office was terminating all their agreements with the municipalities in the city and throughout the county. They said it was really just a house cleaning effort. They wanted to update all the agreements. So late last year, they circulated a draft agreement. I got together with some other city attorneys and we all looked at it and we submitted some comments to the county on it. The county really didn't want, they preferred that we stick with their original agreement. And I think under the circumstances, I've reviewed the terms of it and I think they're acceptable to the city. So I prepared an ordinance for you to adopt a new agreement with the county to continue collecting the real estate tax bills and special tax bills for the city.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Are there any council members that wish the bill to be carried over to the next meeting? Hearing none. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules and read Bill 4733 for the second time in title only?
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Madam Clerk, would you please read Bill 4733 for the second time?
Bill number 4733, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, approving an intergovernmental agreement with Jefferson County, Missouri, the clerk of Jefferson County and the collector of Jefferson County, and establishing an effective date. Councilman Tenen. Councilman Cook.
Yes.
Councilman Venz.
Yes.
Councilman Dennis.
Yes.
Councilman Weiner.
Yes.
Councilman Boyer.
Yes.
Councilman Collier.
Yes.
Bill 4733 has passed. We have bill number 4734 on the agenda. Would the clerk please read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 4734, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, amending section 215.120, 215.170, and 500.187 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Festus regarding interest to be charged for nuisance abatements and dangerous building repairs and demolitions, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and establishing an effective date. For a second, staff report.
I'm sorry. Staff report. I was ahead of myself.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Somewhat related to the last bill, what this ordinance would do is amend the interest rate that is applicable to the special tax bills of the city. Our code in most places provides for 8% annual interest. One of the issues that came up in talking with the collector's office is that their software can't accommodate a different tax rate than what is used for delinquent real property tax. So this bill would amend the city code sections about nuisance abatement and dangerous building abatements to provide that they'll be payable at a rate of 8% or the maximum rate allowed under Missouri law for the collection of real estate taxes. The statute sets that at 18%. So this would resolve, I guess, the issue with the collector's office and the different interest rates.
All right, sir. Now, is there any discussion? Is there any councilman that would like to have this bill carried over to the next meeting? Hearing none. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules and read bills 4734 for the second time in title only?
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Madam Clerk, would you please read the bill 4734 for the second time?
Bill number 4734, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, amending section 215.120, 215.170, and 500.187 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Festus regarding interest to be charged for nuisance abatements and dangerous building repairs and demolitions, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and establishing an effective date. Councilman Boyer.
Yes.
Councilman Collier.
Yes.
Councilman Weiner.
Yes.
Councilman Dennis.
Yes.
Sorry, Kevin, my mic was off. Councilman Venz.
Yes.
Councilman Cook.
Yes.
Councilman Tenen.
Yes. Bill 4734 has passed. New business. At our last meeting, we appointed several people to commissions and committees. However, I omitted one by accident, and therefore I would like to appoint Stephanie Rogers to the Festus Housing Authority as a member of that committee.
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed.
Question. With her working for the city, is there any conflict of her being on that authority?
No,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. All those, yes, we've had,
All those in favor?
oh, yeah, that's what I was. My mind, I'm getting old. All those in
Sorry.
favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Twin City Chamber of Commerce, an event for October 28th, 2023, and an event on November 27th, 2023.
So that is their Halloween event on Main Street and the Christmas parade.
Is there any discussion? Both events are things that we've always done and everybody enjoys.
Be the bad person saying no on that one.
That's right. So I'll need a motion to approve the Chamber of Commerce event on the 28th of October and the event on November 27th.
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Madam Clerk, would you please notify the Chamber of Commerce that it's okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Old business.
Mayor, City Council, at your request, we've placed for discussion tonight on the agenda, the operation of golf carts and UTVs on city streets. There is no information prepared. I think more than anything else, I know we wanted to give everyone an opportunity to share their thoughts about preparing an ordinance or whether we should. There's a number of concerns, I think, that these vehicles can raise to be operated on city streets. I know, speaking with Chief Wendell, they present some concerns, certainly from a law enforcement perspective. So more than anything else, I wanted, and we talked about 2 weeks ago, giving you a chance to kind of go around the room and express your thoughts. And if you if the consensus from the council is to proceed, we can prepare an ordinance for review and discussion at a future meeting.
Councilman Cook, do you have anything to say on this issue?
I'm a default or defer to the two experts here. I mean, police chief, excuse me, is this going to be a logistics nightmare?
As we've discussed in the past, I'm not a real big proponent of it. Even though they're talking low speeds, still riding through a subdivision, if they, car coming down the street, you have a golf cart or a UTV hit by a car, the results are never good for the operator of the UTV or golf cart.
Fire chief?
It just, it would be running the calls. I mean, we don't weigh in as far as their operation or use, but there is a concern that there would be the seriousness and the call volume for them operating on streets.
So my stance is pretty simple. Now, I understand some of the request, but bottom line is we live in a city. I mean, if you want to ride a golf cart, it's on a golf course. In my mind, if you want to ride a UTV or whatever they're called, rail cars, whatever, that's rural, that's property. I just don't think they're a good idea. And my concern is Highway A. How do we patrol that? How do we even get involved in that? They start shooting across. I don't even know if we can create ordinances to say no, yes. How does it get enforced? So I mean, I understand. I got a lot of requests on it, but as one vote, I'm going to probably say no. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilman Dennis?
Once again, I've had a lot of requests also, and there's been a lot of talk on social media about some recent writing. I believe it was from the bicycle event Sunday. They were using UTVs to move things around, and the question is now raised, is it legal? there is a state statute 304.032 that pretty well maps it out. I don't know if Greg's familiar with that. It was part of the social media thing. I've had several requests. I draw the line between a golf cart and a UTV. Golf carts, it seems to be the people that want to ride those on the streets are living in subdivisions where they're using them socially, I guess, from getting one point to another, to where the UTVs at one time, we had an ordinance and there wasn't any accidents reported that I know of. The accident that's always referred to was before the ordinance. I would like you to look into this state statute, and there's a provision in there for handicapped folks. Mentioned that they are allowed to ride them on the street for short distances between sunrise and sunset. I don't know where that would apply for us, but I do know I have one, and to get it to fuel it, I have to go multiple times with multiple gas cans to bring gas to it. So I'm not prepared to vote on anything this time, but I would like your opinion on what is wrote in the state, because it looks quite a bit like what we had last time. I know several of the surrounding communities allow it, and I don't know of any accident. Then I also think of the 50cc scooters that are allowed with similar requirements, 2 wheels, 1 seat, that is all you have to have is a driver's license, I believe, and insurance maybe. So I think I've represented everybody that's made a request, and that's their request. Once again, I divide it between golf carts and UTVs. UTVs do have safety belts and things of that nature. I believe crossing a highway is allowed, but you cannot ride on any lettered highway. So I think I've covered everybody that's come to me and asked me questions about it. So I guess I want to hear the consensus of everybody and then see where it goes from there. But at this point, that's what I have.
All right, sir. Thank you. Councilman Weiner.
The other, excuse me, couple things. The other day I was up in St. Louis County, and I suppose, I don't know, this unincorporated area or not, but I came around a corner, around a curve, and there was a little girl with her dad. The little girl was in her own self-propelled UTV, ATV, and she had a tall flag that warned me that, I was coming up on her. And it was sudden. I thought, this just really doesn't sound safe to me. It was unsafe. It was a child. She probably was 10 or 12 years old driving it. Also, the other day, I was on Collins Drive headed south towards A, and I was following a UTV. The UTV stopped at the A intersection and then proceeded to drive west on Highway A. And when you see the number of trucks that run red lights, when you see the high speeds and everything else, I thought that was also another instance of a safety concern. So I can understand why some people would like to have them, but we're not like a small town like Crystal City that is more residential. I mean, we have high speeds here. We've got large amount of trucks going through. So I just don't see it for the safety of and the possibility of danger that's involved. I don't see it as something I would vote for.
All right. Thank you, sir. Councilman Boyer.
Ditto to what's been said so far. I think we're inviting more trouble with wrecks, and a lot of neighbors complaining probably about some of the noise that would be emitting from some of these vehicles. We already hear a lot of the fast cars with loud pipes down on the highway there, and I think I'd have to vote against it at this time, sir.
All right. Thank you. Councilman Collier.
I agree with what's been said, and I would also like to be able to research it a little more and check with some other municipalities that have an ordinance to see if they've had any problems or what kind of problems they got and do a little more research on it. But right now, I couldn't vote on it because I want to make sure of the safety concerns.
All right, thank you. Councilman Vance?
Same here. I mean, golf carts, no, I can't imagine the golf cart situation, but the UTVs possibility, but it does worry. I mean, in Festus, I mean, like you said, some of the smaller cities, yeah, Festus, it's really tough, but I understand the other side of it. Fuel is expensive. I don't know. I like you said, I'd want to do a little more research, but I understand that a lot of people that it would help the UTV, but the golf carts, no. They strictly should be, I don't know, more of a subdivision, stay in subdivision, not be on the major roads at all. But the UTVs could be a possibility because I understand what it could help with some people in this town, but it is a tough choice. I mean, I understand that, and but yeah, that's where I'm at the moment on it.
All right, thank you. Councilman Tenen?
Tim. All right. You know, so here's how I see this. So in my subdivision, I have mini bikes, go-karts, four-wheelers. I've got everything that's illegal to be on the street in the first place. So they for basically every UTV out there, they make a street legal kit for them. So they're going to have blinker lights, horns, lights. And I if I was going to look into it further, I would suggest that we do the permitting like we had in an ordinance before. And I think if the price of the permit was high enough, it's going to keep not so serious people off of them and maybe give a little bit more safety oriented people. The UTVs do have seat belts in them and shoulder harnesses. Most of them do anyhow. And I think, I don't know if the police department would be interested in inspecting them as we permit them. But my biggest thing is, you know, I know we live in Missouri, but there are several states out there that they are street legal and they do have license plate brackets on them and everything else. So I don't see how we can control the go-karts, the mini bikes and everything else out there. That what Brian was saying, maybe a 6-8-year-old girl is going to be riding around. But I don't think they're going to be riding around a $25,000 to $50,000 UTV. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm like Bobby on the go-karts. They got a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit probably on a golf cart, I think. Yeah. So I at one time had a little electric street legal golf cart, and even though it was street legal, I felt like I was going to get run over all the time because it only do 20 miles an hour. So I would like to look into it more, like Kevin was suggesting and Bobby, and but that's how I feel about it. I'm probably more pro for them than pro against them. So that's where I'm coming from.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, I think what we'll do is, what I'd like to do is to give you all 2 weeks to do whatever research you want to do. And then we will put this on the old business of our next council meeting, and we'll take a vote on it then.
Sir, if I could just jump in for a second.
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry. And I'm familiar with some recent changes, more of it based on language. And Brian, I know he and I have had a chance to discuss this at times. the state of Missouri classifies most of these as what they call LSVs or low-speed vehicles. There is a provision in state statute that does allow them to be operated on lettered highways, and that's the extent of what they're allowed to. So while we can't control anything from the state's perspective as far as what is allowed or not allowed by state statute, we certainly can control the operation of any of an LSV inside, the corporate boundary of the city of Festus. So it sounds like tonight, more than anything else, that everyone recognizes the possible dangers that golf carts may present, but certainly there is a desire to learn a little bit more about UTVs, or as they're classified now as LSVs, on the city streets. I can get some material together. I've collected it already in relation to a model ordinance, and also compile some information regarding neighboring cities as far as whether they're allowed or not. I can get that out to you prior to our next meeting, which would be on the 28th, if everyone's agreeable to that.
Is everyone agreeable to that?
Yes, sir.
It's good.
Hey, Greg, could you also get some confirmation? Is the state statute that mentions the handicap provision, is that on the lettered highways? Because I had one specific guy read that to me, and I don't really know exactly what to say.
I'd have to, I'll pull it up, and I did make notes here that you mentioned where if it's in 304.302, then we'll certainly look that up, and I'll be sure to provide what the state statute language Brian and I can get together as far as what is allowed or would be allowed or not allowed on city streets.
Hey, Greg, I got
Okay, thank you, sir.
Certainly.
a quick question for you guys. So I remember a long time ago, a fellow came in and he wanted to use his UTV for like mowing grass to carry his lawnmowers and stuff. But really, are they illegal to be on the street if you have that orange triangle on them? Especially if it's a work UTV, like with a pickup?
Like a mule or a rhino.
Yeah.
They are permitted on lettered highways in Missouri. And you do need to have the markings on there as a low speed vehicle. They do have to have the triangle on them. We do not allow them on our streets. So if in the way the statute reads, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong here, they could operate one on a highway where the speed limit is 45 up to 60 miles an hour in some places. So that's the provision that because they're classified as farm machinery. I think where some of the changes come of late is where they've inserted this LSV designation and call them low speed vehicles as opposed to just utility vehicles. Because you do have the kind of the mules and rhinos, and then you've got those Can-Ams and Kawasaki's and things like that that can go 90 to nothing. So
I was just curious.
Okay, is there any other discussion on this matter? Hearing none, let's move right along. Councilman Boyer.
Just wanted to say the bottleneck bridge ride, it looked like it went quite well. We've seen a lot of participants down there when we drove around. I think it's something like that's always good. I don't know where else they have that at, but if that's something that they travel around or what, but it seemed like they definitely had a big attendance here. Wanted to say I did call or talk to Chris Hagan about his water problem, and thing we have to do is look into that, Chris, and see what we can do about that situation. And that's about all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Councilman Weiner.
So on this Edgewood water problem, my son's out there. He lives on Edgewood. Kay and David Moore are his neighbors, and I've known obviously my son forever, and and the Moores for a long time also. And I was talking to Kay today, and she's had this they've had this problem going on for 10 years there. My son talks about it being, 5 years that he can remember this going on. If it's kind of a quirky time right now, because when our new water system will totally go online, hopefully that will alleviate the problem that we're experiencing right now, because we won't have to go back to these city wells anymore. And correct me if there's anything I'm saying that is not factual or correct, Greg, please. It seems like we need to have like a watch and wait period. I would be very distressed if I were living in conditions where I had water coming out of my faucet as they do. I can remember 5 years ago, Kyle was talking about a bathtub that was full of brown water. So, I mean, it's unacceptable. I know we're doing a lot to alleviate it. And perhaps, Greg, you might want to chime in on some of the things that we're doing to alleviate that also. But if in the meantime, I don't know if there would be some sort of, I wouldn't want to pay $1 for $1's worth of water if I wasn't getting $1's worth of water. So I don't know if somehow if we could discount that water bill while that's going on. I don't know if we can supply drinking water to them while and although it may be, quote, safe to drink, I know that there's not one person in this room that would want to drink that if it were coming out of their tap. So I really hope that time heals all wounds with this, and that we're able to have a clean drinking water system for them. But in the meantime, obviously, we're all concerned about it, and I think something needs to be done. That's all I have, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you, Councilman Cook.
Thank you, sir. I got a few things, so I'm going to ask everybody's patience. Greg, talk to me about the water quality over there, because my social media message blew up. This isn't my cup of tea, so
It looks like tea.
it does, and I felt bad. I don't have an answer for him, so I need your help. What are we doing for the water quality over there? Would be my first question, and second question would be for you, main replacements. How do we identify that? How do we get some help over there? And would that also help alleviate the situations? And I'll stop there and then catch up with you.
Yeah, it is unacceptable. And I guess the frustrating part, for a lesser degree to the city, because the residents are obviously upset. And I understand that. Because it's a difficult situation. It's an unacceptable situation. The city took steps and the water authority took steps in the last, well, certainly since I've been here, to address this issue. Not just on Edgewood, but all over town. There are water mains in the ground that are 50, 60, 70 years old. And they need to be replaced. There is a pressing need to find these difficult spots, whether it's because of water quality issues, the flow of the water, the volume of the water, which is necessary from a public safety standpoint. So that's why last year, if you recall, in our budget, we commissioned a water master plan that is ongoing right now. This is something that we need. This is a tool we need in the toolbox so that we can identify these problem areas and prioritize them. We do have limited resources, but we want to make sure that when we put the resources in the ground, we're doing it in the spots that need it the most. Edgewood is certainly one of them. Those mains have been in the ground since probably the 50s and 60s. We have mains that are older than that. If you recall, in this budget, we focused on Palier and Garbarino and North Adams as areas that we needed to focus on because they're even older. But I really feel strongly about making sure that we have a blueprint to follow. The city's never had a document like what Burns and McDonnell is working on for us as far as a water master plan that will help us systematically, not just fix what's happening on Edgewood, but also fix what's happening in other neighborhoods, because the reaction between the water and its makeup when it pumps out of one of our wells and the water that pumps out of the water authority, just the simple pH difference can cause these pipes, these older pipes, to react. And it's not a good thing. The last 2 or 3 years, as the gentleman here tonight mentioned, have been especially difficult because the capacity of the water authority has been diminishing, and the city's had to increasingly rely on supplementing the water that the city needs from our wells. When that happens, when you blend those two sources together, you end up with this result. Fortunately, the water authority for Festus and Herculaneum are going to see, obviously with the new collector well, that's a huge investment there by the water authority to provide a 24/7, 365 source of water from this point out. And they're hoping to be able to make electrical connections at collector well 2 this week. Once they're able to go through startup and get that well operating the way it needs to, online with the plant, in the coming, I don't want to say weeks, because it'll be more than 4 or 5, but in the coming months, the capacity of the water authority will finally be where I think it was envisioned to be 20 years ago. So it's kind of a rambling answer, and I apologize for that. I truly believe that the steps that we've taken, that the water authority has taken, will address these issues. It's just that an action that was taken in 2021 or an action that was taken in 2022 takes some time to implement. And that's where we're at. If you look at the fiscal 23-24 budget that we're going to be contemplating here in the coming weeks and months, we're talking about nearly $500,000 investment in mains, meters, water valves. So there is obviously a willingness here by the council before tonight to address these issues. And it will get better. It unfortunately, these things aren't ready yet.
Would it be a tough answer if we had a timeline where the citizens can watch and start to see an improvement? If they don't, they should, I guess, what I'm looking for is if you can guess or an estimate of a timeline and a communication way, because we now see 21st century communication is through social media. And I like to see us get proactive instead of reactive. Silence, I don't think is a great answer. So help me with that, please.
Sure. I think the biggest piece to all this is the new collector well at JCWA. That is close. And we will do everything we can to, that's a $12 million project that we embarked on. When you talk about supply chain issues, there's a project that's been impacted by some of the simplest things you would think, a generator or a control device that was delayed, which held these things up. But I guarantee you, we will shout from the mountaintop when that is ready to go. I spoke with Jim Tyndall today, who's our facilities maintenance gentleman, about a systemic flush. We need to get the water out of the system. We need to get the new water into the system. So basically, from north to south, east to west, to make sure that once that new collector well goes online and it's humming like it's supposed to, that we're able to purge the system of everything that's in it as effectively as possible with as least disruption as possible. Because again, those water mains are still old. So changes in pressure, changes in temperature affect them. So we do have to be mindful of that, but I guarantee you, we will let everyone know when that happens, when that is getting ready to happen, and we'll use whatever method we need to, whether it's Facebook. I mean, we're on 3 social media platforms, 4 if you count YouTube. We have our message board. We obviously have our website. We'll do everything we can to get the word out, Mike.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then I know budgets are coming up. I'd love to discuss making Edgewood and St. Mary's a priority on main replacement. So if we can make a note on that and come back to that, since budget's coming very soon. And the last thing is just a quick note. As we discuss more about the UTVs and golf carts and we research this, here's the only thing I'm asking this council to research. Highway 55 is getting ready to be redone, 3 lanes all the way down. We have a huge manufacturer coming aboard named James Hardy. Yes, they're going to have a second infrastructure coming in. It's going to be a lot of heavy trucks on Highway A coming through town. If we're going to research this, we really need to take a look at that as well and compare our community to another industrial community that has something like this and see what works and doesn't work. Thanks. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, sir. Councilman Dennis.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I serve at the pleasure of you and the city on the Water Authority. And I know there's some critics out there, and I'm not talking about the citizens that are dealing with the problem, that I just want to stress that, also the drought conditions, and it bothers me, everybody here, everybody at the city, everybody at the Water Authority about the water conditions. And they have worked tirelessly on trying to fix these. And I know there's people out there that want to think that we're just negligent and we don't care, but that is not true. It totally bothers us. And I believe in one of the posts by the city administrator that we would do our best to reimburse them for their water usage or damage to clothes. Yes, I want to apologize humbly to these folks here that are having these issues, but we do care. The Water Authority is working diligently on these issues. And it, like Greg said, it's a chemistry issue. I know that we're going to be looking in to try to fix the pipage to the areas with the problem. But like I said, we have invested a lot of money and time in getting these new collector wells. That just means we pull the water out of the Mississippi River. And when the river is at drought conditions, we are forced to use our wells, which are our backup system to the water plant. So, Greg, if anything I said is wrong, please feel free to correct me, but it bothers me being on the Water Authority. It's a complicated issue, but we do hear you. We do care. And like Greg said, once we get these new collector wells, and there's been a ton of work done on it, researching how much water they'll put out, hopefully we can resolve this issue with my humble apologies to the folks there with the brown water. On a good note, I was at the car wash the other day, Woodside Creek. I seen all of our red trucks going there. I'm nosy. I went down there, and once again, there's Pruno, Cal Cox and the gang down there replacing cement slabs. And boy, if you haven't ever seen these guys work, you're missing something. These guys do good work. I mean, good work. When you're digging up concrete slabs and those streets are made in slabs to be replaced, and you get to the bottom of them and it's mushy clay, and these guys are fixing it, making it work. But I bet we've poured over 100 concrete slabs in different subdivisions. this summer. So I just want to say, hey, for the good job there. I'm sure Shane will tell his men that we appreciate him. On another note, I had a council call from a lady that lives in my ward. She was pinned down by a homeless man at Walmart and scared severely. The Walmart security had to get involved to make her feel safe. The man was panhandling for money to buy little tiny bottles of booze. And the Walmart security staff said the homeless camp behind Walmart is an issue. And from my understanding, it's a constant thing that we have to work on to try to keep these folks. I believe the police report, probably the same man multiple times a day. He has been trespassed from several businesses. I guess one question to Brian Malone, nuisance. Can someone be declared a public nuisance and prosecuted to an extent to where they can be removed from the community and either receive whatever attention they need, be it, legal punishment or help, to where people aren't afraid to go to Walmart. I had to call Doug the other day. There's a $500-600 shopping cart. He got with the parks. We got it pulled out of the park and returned to whoever it belongs to. But these shopping carts are being used as their own personal things at a tune of about $500 to $600 a piece. So we all pay for that. Once again, we've all talked about what is the solution. I recently helped a member of our church who was homeless. I don't know what the answer is, but when we have people afraid to go to Walmart because the guys followed them and pinned her down with her small children, I'd just like to make Doug aware of that and see what our plan is to try to possibly remove that camp back there and maybe and I'm sure you've tried, but I'll let you have it, Doug, and see what you think about it. But sorry I didn't get a hold of you sooner. I've had a lot going on in my life, but that's kind of what's going on. I just want to see what your thoughts on it were, Doug.
Part of it is that homeless camp that they're talking about is on the levy property. So it's not in the city limits of Festus as far as that side of it goes. It belongs to the levy commission. I believe it's in Crystal City city limits. We work with Walmart daily, Mobile daily, Walgreens, all of them to try to keep the homeless people at bay, to try to make them leave our citizens alone. It's kind of a revolving door. And I'm going to let Brian answer part of that question you had as far as what can be done with them with the nuisance wise.
Sure. Thank you, Councilman. As far as prosecuting an individual for being a nuisance, that's I'm not aware of really a mechanism to do that. By and large, we can charge people with violating our ordinances when they qualify as someone who is who a judge would find to be a danger to the public, or who's not likely to appear in court in response to a summons. The court can hold them for a period of time. Or the court can order that they be held in the city jail for a period of time. Our ordinance violations are punished. The maximum penalty is 90 days in jail. We have, in a couple of instances, held a few individuals for extended periods of time. I think even when we do that, and I think I'm aware of a couple individuals we've held for 60 days at a time, depending, based on their offenses and their particular circumstances. It's a temporary solution, even in those cases. There have been instances in which a guardianship action might be appropriate. That's a pretty significant, and I don't want to say extreme step. Sometimes it's the appropriate step, but that is a tool that is out there. And that's something we have used and are evaluating with respect to at least one individual right now.
Mm-hmm. So the levy is governed federally. So anything that has to do with that levy, I believe, is a federal government issue. So there might be, I believe, maybe the trespassing on or damaging the levy may be a federal issue. And I don't know if these people are put in jail for 60 days, we're not set up to handle somebody for 60 days. Do they go to the county or would that be in our jail?
Well, it depends what they're charged with. I mean, we will hold people in our jail for a period of time in some instances. You're right that we're not set up well to do that. There are instances in which sometimes we work with what we have. But yes, the county is better set up to do it. And I think when you're talking about pretrial detention, I think it would usually be preferable for the police department to pursue having state charges filed because they have a little bit more resources. But the state isn't always willing to file charges unless they're charges that must be brought in state court.
Right. Well, maybe the federal thing might be a tool. The only other thing I have, sir, is what kind of guy would I be if I didn't ask about any movement on a splash pad or location? I have one young person that asks me about that quite a bit. So I must ask, Greg.
Well, I must
For my
answer.
sake.
Councilman, in fact, just today I was working on a set of bylaws for a foundation or an LLC that doesn't have a name yet. I've obviously, I don't want to limit it to be something that can only be used as a tool for the parks. You could just call it the Festus Parks Foundation or Friends of Parks, which have been used in the past. But want to get those bylaws in front of obviously legal to make sure that it gets a review. So we do need to have our articles of incorporation and the bylaws for the foundation, which would then allow us to work with Victoria Babb, who we've talked about. She's the Play for All lady that has been instrumental in handicap accessible playgrounds and splash pads across the state of Missouri and Illinois. And probably beyond that, she was involved very heavily in the Cades playground in Herculaneum. So we'd like to have the foundation pieces in place to be able to allow charitable donations to a pursuit like an all-inclusive splash pad or playground.
Right. Well, as you know, our young friend is very well spoken and it has appeared before this council. And I'm sure she'll be glad to hear that you continue to work on this. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All righty, thank you. Councilman Collier.
I agree with Councilman Cook as far as our water problems. I think it's a situation that needs to be addressed and our citizens don't need to be put through that. And it should be one of our top priorities. And as far as compensation and everything, I think that's already been addressed.
They said they were gonna give us a $15 credit. I'm not gonna pay for my water at all.
A $15 credit is laughable.
You can't drink it.
It's literally undrinkable. Like, you guys are just taking a sip of the water if you want to. Maybe we have a committee.
Didn't we say that we were going to be working on trying to supply drinking water and everything earlier in Mr. Cook's comments? That we are looking into it?
Saturday, our water was brown.
And the rivers ain't low.
Okay, I'm gonna go on. I'm
hear
going on. We got to receive the new design of what the state's going to be doing on 67 at CC. That design I kind of like. It looks like that's going to be a pretty good situation. But when I looked at the design of 55 where the cloverleaf is now, I think that's going to be a disaster. Just from looking at it, it's very confusing on how to do it. And hopefully they will correct whatever it is that they're planning on doing. But I'm not sure. That's the state and it's up to them to do whatever they want to do. And I have been asked by some of the council people about Mr. Underwood. I talked to his wife Lois and she says he's doing very well. He still has memory loss from the stroke and that, but he is doing good. And that's all I got.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilman Vance.
Yeah, and on that water issue, I mean, I hate to hear about that too. It's, we've had it at different parts of the city, and it's always been the old water mains. It's always been a problem. And I'm hoping we can address that here soon, like you said in the budget, somehow get this fixed, not only for them, but throughout the city, because it sounds like it's getting to be a domino effect more and more. And I sure hope we can solve that problem. Chief Wendell, that famous Horine Road. As many complaints I get a day on that thing. I know your officers are there, but you know, as soon as you drive away, it's 90 miles an hour till you get back. I don't know what good time, bad time. I mean, whatever you think you can do to try to curve it middle of the night. I mean, it's just a drag strip. It really is bad. I mean,
So is it worse approaching your house from the train tracks or after they round the corner heading out of town? Which is the worst section?
unfortunately, both. I mean, it seems like the drag strip, as soon as they round the curve, it seems like they can fly till they get to the church or past it. But then at the same time, when they come over that hill, I mean, believe me, I got the neighbors, the subdivision, everybody, they just, like I said, I mean, I just don't know really a good answer. I mean, you know, they all suggest things, but you can't put bumps, can't do this, can't do that, because you know what that would cost. But, and it's like you said, there's no certain time. It's as soon as somebody's standing out there with the binoculars. Oh, there you go. Please go on. Let's go. I mean, I know it's tough. And you cannot have someone stationed there all the time.
Yeah, we're doing what we can over there. You know, our days of being able to focus officers on for long periods of time aren't really happening right now with the other call volumes we have going on, but we're having officers sit in places as much as we can.
Yeah.
So we'll keep trying to help you out as much as we can.
Well, and like you said, I see it on the lights too, you know, on A. Oh my God, is that just people just running these lights like unbelievably run through these lights. I mean, there's just no mercy. It's like, man, you have to double look 2-3 times before you pull out anymore. And it's bad. And I mean, but once again, I see the officers. But as soon as they're gone, boy, it's drag strip time. So, but I you know, all I can do is just report it to you. So.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Yes, sir. But other than that, that's it, sir.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Tenen.
Well, I hate to beat a dead horse as far as everything goes with the water, but you know, I know we're working on it and trying to do what we can to fix it. I can definitely understand the people's concern about drinking the whatever that stuff is. So hopefully we can get focused on that and get something going with that, you know. The other thing is Chris Hagan brought up a good point on the storm sewers and on Main Street. When we get our heavy flows of rain, instead of the inlets taking the water, they're basically just backing up. So if you have old foundations, we're going to get leaks there. So I don't know when the last time we addressed the storm sewers over that area, but there definitely is a need of repairs for those. Other than that, I think everything's been talked about tonight. I would like to try to, what Brian was saying is look at some kind of restitution for the people with the water problem, because I've been over a couple houses and it's not just Edgewood, it's that whole area over there. It's you turn the water on, it's orange. So I guess you're getting that through your wash machines, your filter system, everything else. So I hopefully we can look into that and see if we can come up with some kind of idea for the people over there. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you. Well, I'd like to say I'm not going to beat a dead horse either, but we are going to do what we can to address this problem as quickly as possible. And we know it's there and we understand your frustration, as maybe you understand our frustration with what's happening and how we can fix it. So we're going to get it fixed one way or another. The other night, the library had a water leak in their basement, which caused some problems, and the fire department responded and took care of it, took care of helping clean up the mess. And I want to say thank you, Chief, for what your men did and yourself. And I want to thank Councilman Boyer and his wife Yvonne for cleaning up the flower beds in front of City Hall. Thank you. And just one other thing, kind of a personal thing. My daughters that live in Hawaii live on the east side of the island of Maui. The devastation is on the west side of the island, but it's absolutely horrible. So, you know, if you could keep the citizens of Hawaii, the citizens of Maui in your thoughts and prayers, I'd appreciate it. If not, I will entertain a motion to go into a closed session pursuant to Missouri law 610.021 313 for personnel. I'll entertain a motion. Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilman Collier,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilman Dennis,
Yes.
Councilman Benz,
Yes.
Councilman Cook, Councilman Timmons.
Motion passes. We'll take a 5-minute break and then go into